Now, my posting before this was a weekly reading for the Sabbath. All right. I'm going to get into Metzora. Metzora is a skin disease. Now, with this skin disease, it dates back to 600 BC and is rarely found around. It was big in the slave trade when everybody had went over to India and separated all that stuff. But it's 600 BC. It's big around the Indian culture, the Japanese, and the Chinese culture. Now, what does this mean? It means that back then in the biblical times, this disease that Moses had seen, all right, when he touched himself, was going to be the separation. It tells you that in Scripture. We see the separation of nations again, all right, for the last time when Rebecca has her twins, Esau and Jacob. One came out red hairy, and the Dom means red and hairy, and then the other one's smooth. Now, the leprosy disease has been traced, all right, amongst these three nations, big time. So if you look at the haplogroup, and I want to be very clear, if you look at the haplogroup, all right, we see D and E. Now with D and E, all right, those two have the same ancestral father, Y chromosome father, which would be what? Which would be Jacob. But there was a separation which kept Jacob's path and seed straight. Okay? So if I go here, we'll see that we have these three. These become obsolete because you don't see them anymore. C is just obsolete, but F is red, it dies out and turns into this J, and it goes on to the K and everything else. E actually stays the same. Why? Because E is a haplogroup E and it's 96. These are the descendants of it, and it stays right there. D branches off. All right, it becomes all these other stuff right here. Now, what is D? D is basically India, and then from out of India came Japan and China, and from out of Japan and China came North Korea and the Philippines and all this other stuff. Then you have your Lithuanians and your Koreans. A lot of those countries over there, they're actually really white Asians. That's why if you look at their eyes, they have the cat-snated eyes, but they're blue or different other colors. So the D chromosome and who's next to us is actually the people from India. Now, I'm not trying to be funny. How many times have you been somewhere and you're Semitic? Now, if you're a Semitic brother like me, a lot of people look at me, and some people would think I'm either Bangladesh, India, Dominican, or Puerto Rican because of my hair and all this other stuff. Or a lot of people would pass me off for Ethiopian. Those were the ones who got separated from us because of all their sins. That was the separation. When I look at if I have to go by the leprosy part from the D and the E, because everything from D causes a chromosome change in the whole 9 yards. All right, causes skin change. And anybody from India, if you go to them, they'll actually tell you. All right, if you go, oh, you know you're the father of all the Chinese and Japanese, they'll look at you and smile and go, oh, you know that? Because they know that those nations and cultures came out of them. That way. So this is the reason why I try to point out the haplogroups and what they are. So now you know. And if we look at the leprosy part and the separation and how bad they were, and we match it up to Scripture, then you'll actually see. But I don't want anybody to hark on it. I just purposely wanted to bring it up to show you, because there's a lot of people from India that are very smart and they're very good people. I never knew the spiritual connection. I just knew from growing up that it was always there. But until today, by trying to do the Bible study that I did earlier, I seen through Metzora, through the leprosy and reading Leviticus, all right, and going through John and all the stuff that happened in the Old Testament, that separation, okay? And when you go back and you look at the scientific part of it, through the haplogenes and what nations had it, they separated from the E because of that leprosy, which didn't make them Semitic anymore, made them Hamitic, all right? So that Hamitic part of them that had the leprosy, that's the ones that separated. So that's what we have right there. And I just want to bring it down. It's in the haplogroup book. If you have any questions, just let me know.